Hello and welcome to QED's Data 2. The main aim of the first part of this class is to introduce the way that most people work with stata most of the time in practice, which is working with files of stata commands instead of entering them one by one into the command window. Once we've done that, we'll use that to apply some of the ideas from the lecture and consolidate previous work on stata and introducing some new commands to look at distributions and correlation in some detail with the different data sets. And we'll also bring in some new ideas such as transformation of variables and a different correlation coefficient. So firstly though, we're going to say, well, what happens when things go wrong or when you get stuck, when you need some help? Well, a downside of stata is that it's really can look quite complicated to start with. There are so many different commands and so many different options available, and you tend to do most things by typing it. However, the upside is that it's got fantastic built-in help. Of all the different bits of software I use, I think it's got the best help system of anything. All you need to do to get help on something is simply type help. So for example, if you know the summarize commands, but imagine you didn't know that, or if you forget exactly what you're supposed to put in to use summarize, just go after stata and type in something like summarize. Oops, no, you don't type in help summarize. Type in help and then summarize. And of course, being stata, it brings up yes another window, like so. So this is the help file for summarize. And as it says in the notes, it always starts with this thing at the top saying, okay, summary statistics, that's the headline of what it does. And then this is one of the really important parts of it, which is what's called the syntax, which is just like the rules of exactly how you write it out. So you've got the command at the front. The bit that's underlined is the bit you can shorten it to. So lots of commands you can just put a short form, so SU you can use instead of summarize. And then these bits here I've described in the notes what they mean. You can find where that's here. Yeah, so down here. So this means you can put a list of variables. So it could be just one variable or several variables. It'll give you statistics for all of them. These are the commands you can use to add things to it if you can put in. So you could say, remembering that variable we had last week, World Bank group equals 1. That means that it would only do it for the low income countries. So 2 would do it for the lower middle income countries and so on. Or there's this in is another way of doing it, which is you're specifying the exact rows. So if you did in 1 to 100, that would mean from rows 1 to 100. There's some shorthands you can put on, like L to the last row, so you could do 50/L, 50 to the last row. Again, if you look up help in, it'll tell you exactly how you can specify that. So that's variablelist if in. Weight is something a bit advanced. That's when you're trying to give different weights, different factors. We're not likely to use it on this course, but perhaps later on in dissertation you might use that. And then, as usual, you can put a comma. You must have the comma, and the comma tells data, look, here comes some extra options. So here you can put things like by, when you can do it for different values of a categorical variable to compare things, or detail, where you're telling it you want more detail. And the things you can put after comma is all laid out back in that help file there. So the options, and then usually it goes into options here. So these are the things you can put in. And there's countless ones, some of them basic, some of them really advanced. The other two things I'll point out here is there's always stuff here, some of it's quite advanced, but here's a really good thing. You can look at here, it's the examples. So it's got concrete examples. These are the kind of things you could put in. It often at the start of the examples has sysuse auto, which is just a command that makes it load an example dataset that comes with stata. So if you type sysuse auto, it loads in this stuff. I think it's to do with cars. And then you can try out these commands, which is to do with miles per gallon and where it was made and so on. And then finally here, you'll get an example of this later on. Lots of commands, when you run them, they store the results. So this is how, after you've run it, by using these commands, you can get the results back. So summarize works out a mean. So later on, if you say mean, you can get the mean that it generated until you run another command, which then runs it out. But I'll show you an example of that later. So that's help, which is very, very handy. Okay, yeah. Then, so if you look back at the help file entry for summarize. See if you can figure out what you would put down to try and get this out. So you want to summarize income and just get only the mean of it, nothing else, just the mean coming out. And you only want it for cases where there's another variable for age between 20 and 25. So otherwise, you want the mean income of people who are aged between 20 and 25. So have a look at the summarize, see if you can imagine what you'd write down for that. So hopefully you had a think about that. If you've go back to the help viewer. And if you read through these options, you find that this is the one you want here, mean only, as an option. And it says it suppresses everything else and just gives you the mean. And or you could type mean only or just mean. And that goes as an option here. So maybe I can type back in here. Not much space in this document, so you could type in summarize or summarize like that. You want income. Just get rid of that auto correction. So summarize income. And you only want so summarize the income if the other variable is between 20 and 25, so greater than equal to 20 and age has got to be greater than equal to 25. Mean only. So that gives you the summary statistics for this, between as long as age is between this, and an option only giving you the mean. Okay. Of course, that's help. So help is fantastic. Of course, what might happen is you don't actually know what command you need, so you can't use help. If that's no good, then you can use search, and search is really amazing as well. So, for example, if you're not sure what you needed to get descriptive statistics, went off to stata and typed in, I want some descriptive statistics. Then it just searches for all these are the things which give you stuff like descriptive statistics. So correlate, which we're going to use later. Mean, to work out means. P-car, which is another one we might use later. Proportions. And then we'll look summary statistics, that looks good. And tables, so it gives you summarize and table, which are things we met last week. And then you can click on summarize, and you're back there. So, fantastic help system. If you know what command you want, you just want some help with it, type help. If you've no idea what command you want, type search, and that will help you find the command you want. So from now on, I can give up. You can teach yourself, but it is really good. Okay, so next we will go on to looking at these data files and do files. But for now, thanks for watching.